Now, you've heard me bring it up enough times by now, but horror has to be one of the most versatile genres out there. So often, it's able to blend with other genres to create something new and unique, something that we've seen evidence of yet again with the release of a rom-com that takes a slightly more unnerving twist on what is usually quite a cosy atmosphere. Melissa Barrera's performance as the complex Laura Franco in Your Monster is everything it needs to be, while also being so much more. It adds a much needed layer of emotion and sincerity onto a fire that roars into what ended up being one of my favourite under the radar releases of last year. Now, for a while on social medias, primarily X or Twitter or whatever that place wants to be called nowadays, I was documenting my experience with being able to watch this film. I went from being super excited, having convinced my girlfriend that it would be the perfect film to go and see during October 26th to be specific, to finding out that because I lived in the UK, I was going to have to wait a whole month more to the release of November 29th. A whole month after Halloween, where I'm sure a niche movie like this is sure to do well. It's not all bad though, we still get Marvel movies a day early. Partner this with the fact that it was leading into what was ultimately going to be a very busy month for me and many other people, with it being the run up to Christmas. This movie was sadly gonna have to wait. Long story short, at the start of this month I was finally able to watch it, and wow, do I definitely have some thoughts. Your Monster was something I was actively anticipating, so I was more than prepared to come out of it with at least a little bias. But I can comfortably say that, bias aside, this is a gem of a film that I wanted to talk about and hopefully put on the radar of others looking for something new. Released in late 2024, Your Monster brings dark comedy, romance and a dash of horror into a story that's charged with unhinged charisma, while also remaining emotionally resonant. Directed by Caroline Lindy and featuring a powerhouse performance from Melissa Barrera, the film follows an aspiring actress in Laura Franco as she grapples with personal heartbreak, ambition, and a strange new presence in her life. After being dumped by her asshole playwright boyfriend Jacob while recovering from cancer surgery, Laura's world begins to fall apart. Isolated and spiralling fast, it's not long before she discovers a monster lurking in her closet, a creature with a strange sense of wit and a stranger sense of perspective on her life. What begins as a terrifying confrontation in the dark evolves into an unexpected connection, offering Laura a sense of comfort that she desperately craves.
I can sing too.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
5, 6.
As the movie progresses and Laura tries to reclaim her life, tensions rise and emotions resurface. Through all this, Monster becomes her only friend and an unlikely source of strength, which leads to a climax that blurs the line between reality and delusion. Your Monster explores the emotional baggage that each and every one of us carry, as well as the ways that we confront our own darkness. Made on a budget of $300,000 US, it saw a return of a little over $750,000 at the box office, and I personally think it has all the makings of a cult classic. It just needs to find its audience. Your Monster delves into emotional trauma and the resilience that comes from it, presenting a story that's both bizarre and deeply moving. Central to this is Laura Franco, an aspiring theatre actress currently grappling with abandonment by her boyfriend Jacob after her cancer surgery. Side note, what a fucking cunt. Her emotional turmoil eventually takes shape as a monster in her closet, a symbolic representation of her hidden rage and the struggles that she faces internally. This creature is both a source of fear and comfort, directly opposing Laura's battle with isolation and her journey towards ultimately confronting those inner demons. As Laura's relationship with Monster intensifies, so does the journey towards reclaiming herself. Initially a figure that resembled the fear in her life, Monster becomes a source of support, pushing Laura to face her subdued emotions and channel them into personal empowerment. In short, the film showcases that confronting our inner demons, however terrifying that concept may turn out to be, can lead to a real breakthrough in both self-discovery and the build-up of resilience. It examines and dissects the themes of feminine rage, exploring the societal pressures that compel women to suppress their emotions. Laura's interactions with Monster highlight that battle against these constraints, ultimately leading to a cathartic third act release of all of her anger. This arc underscores the deeper message of the film, the importance of acknowledging and embracing emotion, however complex, as a crucial step towards healing and empowerment. Through a unique blend of dark comedy, romance, and a dash of horror, your monster is able to craft a story that deeply resonates with the audience on a grounded level, offering a heartening look at the human condition. One of the primary conduits for the way that the film tries to accomplish this is none other than Laura Franco and Monster themselves, with these characters driving the emotional core of this narrative. Laura is brought to life with a rare vulnerability from Melissa Barrera and is a deeply affected character brought down by both abandonment and illness. Dumped during a critical phase of her cancer recovery, Laura's sudden descent into depression is bleak. Her journey intricately tackles the damages that come with personal trauma and how they lead to impending feelings of both isolation and detachment. As an aspiring actress, her ambitions are closely tied with these battles, making that eventual path to self-discovery both poignant and engaging on an audience level. Laura stood out to me primarily because of her gradual transformation throughout the film. She starts off both quiet and soft-spoken, a figure of victimhood before slowly regaining her strength, largely in part due to her interactions with her newfound friend. Her resilience emerges when she confronts that emotional baggage, symbolised by Monster's presence. In this film, Laura Franco becomes a testament to the human capacity for growth and empowerment, even in the face of severe adversity. Monster, on the other hand, serves as both a literal and metaphorical figure. Initially, he's introduced as a terrifying creature that lurks in the closet, representing Laura's inner fear and unresolved anger. However, as things progress and walls between the two begin to break, this creature becomes infinitely more complex, turning into someone who is both Laura's confidant and a reflection of her inner conflict. From the wit and the candid observations he provides, it adds a layer of dark humour, but the true significance lies in how it mirrors her emotional state at the time. Together, Laura and Monster form this symbiotic relationship that drives the story forward. Their interactions highlight the film's deeper themes of self-discovery and emotional healing. His eventual disappearance, whether it be literal or metaphorical, signifies the end of Laura's journey, leaving viewers to question the nature of said journey, as well as the reality of the monster itself. The movie does a really great job of blending these genres on screen. Whether it be the romance, the comedy, or the horror, nothing really feels like an outlier here, and it all fits into a story that defies conventional categorization. We're whipping out the big terms this year. Fusion isn't merely stylistic either, it goes to deepen that emotional resonance and the thematic intricacy in which the film has. At its core, the film is a romantic comedy with a dark, unconventional twist. Laura and Monster's relationship is endearing and surreal, challenging that typical rom-com normality. The humour offers moments of levity against a heavier backdrop of trauma, allowing the audience to experience Laura's journey through a mix of both laughter and personal reflection. The elements of horror are subtly layered in too, injecting this story with a persisting undercurrent of tension and unease. Monster is initially this source of dread, embodying both psychological and emotional fears, particularly in the form of loneliness and self-confrontation. But by avoiding traditional tropes of the genre, the film is instead able to focus on those inner fears, enriching the story and heightening the stakes, making them feel more personal and immediate as a result of that. Cinematically, the film adopts a style that reflects the present thematic duality. Lindy uses a visual language that shifts between the intimate and the surreal. I would say the pacing also reflects the genre-blending nature of the film. There's moments of slow, introspective build-up that are cut in with comedic beats and the occasional tense moment. And in my eyes, this variation really helps keep the audience engaged. There's never really a moment where the film settles into one specific genre for too long, and I like that a lot about it. The movie exemplifies how genre blending can be used effectively to deepen a narrative on show. By intertwining dark comedy, romance, and horror, the film not only defies expectations, but also crafts this unique cinematic experience that resonates on both an emotional and an intellectual level, while also giving us something to think about when the curtains close. The ambiguity surrounding Monster's existence is a central narrative point, prompting viewers at the end of the film to question those boundaries between reality and imagination. Initially, Monster is written as this tangible entity, engaging in conversations and forming a pretty sincere relationship with Laura. However, as the story unfolds, subtle moments suggest that Monster is nothing more than a manifestation of Laura's psyche, representing her suppressed emotions and inner turmoil. The film's ending only intensifies or even confirms the theorizing. During a pivotal moment, Laura's seen holding a broken ruler, implying that it was she, not Monster, who took the decisive action against her ex-boyfriend. This moment all but verbally confirms the possibility that Monster was a psychological construct, enabling Laura to externalize and confront those deep fears and desires. The decision to leave reality open to interpretation in a way enhances that exploration of self-discovery and perseverance. This narrative choice encourages us to reflect on the ways that individuals may create internal mechanisms to cope with trauma and reclaim agency in their lives. Honestly, Your Monster is a film that has stuck with me since I watched it. Not just for the story, but for the emotional depth that it brings to the table too. At its heart, it's a film about confronting our darkest parts and finding strength within weakness, and I think there's something beautiful about that, especially when it's written well. That doesn't hurt. Laura's journey from heartbreak and despair to journey in self-worth is a nod to the resilience of the human spirit, even when faced with insurmountable odds. The film leaves us on a note that resonates on multiple levels. It explores the complexity of mental health, the importance of self-acceptance, and the power of forging a connection, even with the most unexpected things, real or imagined. The mystery present here serves as a powerful metaphor for the personal demons that we all battle, reminding us that sometimes our greatest adversaries and our greatest allies are one and the same. Your Monster compels us to reflect on our own emotional journeys, urging us to confront our fears, embrace our flaws, and ultimately find a path to healing. It's a film that doesn't just entertain, it resonates with us, leaving us with a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video today. This is a rare occurrence. I'm not going to be doing this thing often. I don't like leaving footnotes anymore. I found a style that I like where I opt for credits instead. But since it's the start of the year, I had a couple things that I wanted to say. You'll notice that this video is hopefully shorter than what I've been making recently, and that is because I've decided that I'm going to be trying weekly uploads again. Some of you might remember that for the latter half of the year I was sort of trying them. If you don't follow me on socials, I've said that my main goal for the channel this year isn't really a subscriber count number as such, it's mainly to try and push the channel as close as I can get it to the monetization landmark. And looking at where I am currently, that's going to take a whole lot of consistency and a broader library of content. This month also marks the return of non-horror content starting next week. Media 13 is no longer horror exclusive, and I know there's a lot of people that have been asking me to go back to non-horror stuff, and this is a little bit for them. Horror will still be the main source of Media 13 content. They will still be all of the main videos for the most part at least. But I do want to diversify my output a little, because while I do love horror and while it's my favourite genre, there's a whole lot of other stuff out there that I also love and I'm not really getting the chance to talk about anymore. I understand that not everyone's going to be interested in the non-horror stuff, especially since for the last year and a half I've built up a primarily horror-focused audience, and that's totally okay. If you want to try out some of the non-horror stuff when it comes out and maybe you end up liking it, then that's great, but if not, then I totally understand. But just remember, horror is not going away. And that's everything from me. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe because it helps the channel grow. Leave a like and comment your thoughts on the video as well as the film. Let's start a dialogue, let me hear what you have to say. Because like I say, it all goes towards helping the channel grow and finding Media 13 an audience. Alright, I'm done here. Until next week, goodbye.